And I always say that it's always very heartwarming, for us to see ourselves, recognize ourselves, respect ourselves, and be able to learn ourselves, understand ourselves. That's the only way we can make it. Otherwise, we shall always be thinking, behaving, and doing everything like other people because we will not be listening to ourselves, we will not be understanding ourselves. This is what I have to do. That is why I always put with you to patronize programs and other activities that we organize ourselves. That is the only way we can see ourselves, criticize ourselves, and be able to make the way forward.
Mr. Dontoh, coming back to your lifestyle or personality, could you briefly tell us a little bit about yourself?
I've always said that, I am not a problem, so I've always not like to talk about myself because there are so many other issues that are more important than myself to talk about. But briefly, I'm a Fanti born some 40 years ago in Cape Coast, school in our farm secondary school. I've worked around the town. I've been an actor for the past 20 years or so. I've won Best Actor Award 3 times and many other awards. I'm a trained playwright, I'm an actor, I'm a director, and also an impresario.
I know you're an actor. When did you start acting?
I would say that I started acting in my mommy's tummy because we actually, even as fetus, we react to certain sensations. That is where we start building emotional elements that inform our actions and whatever we do. But that is by the by. Essentially, the first time I actually mounted the stage was 1973 at Home School, but not as a professional. I was only doing it for the love of it for a school program. Actually, it was very reluctantly that I mounted the stage that night because I was training to be a medical doctor, out and out scientist who believe in scientific principles to the very root. But as nature will have it, or as destiny will have it, here I am as an actor. And I believe perhaps I'm even enjoying myself a lot more as an actor than if I had been a doctor, because I've come to realize that an actor combines the work of the teacher, and the doctor. That's why we call it the healers. Acting for me is life. Life, they say, is a restricted thoroughfare. That's exactly what theater is. You see life, there are so many things in life, but you don't allow just everything to pass through. That's why it is a restricted thoroughfare. And for me, as an actor, this is what I have come to learn about life through acting. And I believe it has changed my way of thinking, my way of seeing life, my perspective towards my neighbors in my community, towards the humankind in general.
I read from papers that you wanted to be a doctor, and now you're an actor. How did that come about?
Well, they say man proposes and God disposes. I set out to be a medical doctor because, well, I was good in both the arts and the science, but I felt arts were just reading, I needed something that would tickle my creative mind. So I fell for the sciences so much. I loved it, I enjoyed it, and that it gave me the opportunity to express myself both mentally and physically. So that is how come I wanted to be a doctor. And also, maybe at that time, I felt that the problem of disease and deprivation in our society was such that we needed people who would tackle the physical problems of our people and deal with them. That is how come I felt for going to do medicine. But I think I'm doing the same job with my acting career. Why I actually decided or left the medicine to come to the acting was that after my first outing at the A-levels, I couldn't make it. I couldn't make it not because I so to speak, I could not make it. In fact, in Apam Secondary School those times, Apam was in fact, that was the best arts school in Ghana. We were coming from Kukuware, from Prempe, from Achimota, from Panston to copy our notes, government, history, whatever. So what the school did was, they always were drafting the best students to go and do science, to strengthen the science department. So we're all distinction students from when we got to Form 4, they were going to choose our subjects. We drafted the first, I think, 15 or 16 students to go to the science. So we were very good students, except that we had problem, of tutors. We had to go up tutors from advanced teacher training college at that time, from Winneba, to come and teach us. Sometimes they would come, sometimes they would not come. We're preparing our own notes. We're staying on campus to do our own studies, whatever. But that was not enough. In fact, I had to do chemistry, physics, biology, and maths in addition to help me in my maths and physics. I think I bit too much that I could choose, so I ended up not being able to qualify. But then once the artistic instincts were there, it started showing itself up. So I took up an opportunity to go for auditioning at Ghana from when they advertised that they wanted people to train as actors. I went there, and right from day one, I have been a number one. Up to this room. Yes.
So how was your parents' reaction?
Well, initially my parents didn't like that. My own father refused to talk to me for 2 years. Because, yes, he thought that, what is concert? That's how they call it. Why do you want to just mount the stage and, so to speak, fool for people to laugh? But eventually he fell for me because when I won my first Best Actor award, he actually gave me my suit that I wore to come and collect the award, and he came with me. Yes. And since that time, he's come to like me so much for it, and now he says that he would have regretted so much if he had stopped me from acting. Yes. That tells you that there are a lot of people in our society who are, so to speak, illiterate about theater and the film industry. People need to be educated a lot more to know exactly what it takes to be in that industry. People actually think that it's one of the most frivolous industries where dropouts find themselves in there. But what they are failing to realize is that theater, and for that matter, film, is actually arts and science. All the elements or the basics of science are in film and theater. Talk about sound, talk about light, talk about heat, talk about colors, whatever, they're all there. Before it comes to the literature, the human beings and your comportment, your movement, your action, your characterization and all those things. So it is not because it's only reference. I'm telling you that the very first time I wanted to learn to play the guitar and I took the guitar, I was so humble because I used to think that, oh, that's one of the easiest things to do. But believe you me, for 3 hours I could not pluck the string. Then I came to respect the musicians. And not even just plucking. Yeah, you are trying to create harmony with the strings of the guitar, at the same time keeping to beat. And even more so for those who could play and sing at the same time. You need a lot of coordination. And that's why I came to learn that it is not very easy as many people think. That being in this field, you are just a dropout. It's not so. Most filmmakers are actually philosophers. They are now talking to the world. The most powerful men in America are filmmakers. Talk of Spielberg, Lucas, Akula, all those people are the most powerful philosophers in our time, in our contemporary time, because they set the pace, they dictate what must be done. They are actually who are leading the scientists. They are the creative minds who will fantasize, come up with ideas, and then the scientists will pick clues from there. The politicians will pick clues from there. The economists will pick clues from there. America is America today because of music and film. So I haven't regretted one bit for being in this industry. And I believe if we are to open our eyes really and look at this industry, all our cries about even emancipation will come to pass because America is colonizing the minds of the world through music and film. You can only undo that with music and film.
What I know is you started with Obra Group, is that true?
Oh yes, I was one of the founding members of Kitiki at that time before it became Obra. I was with them for 9 years when we came back from a tour of Europe, Germany, Holland, Belgium. My responsibilities and my activities as a cultural officer at the Center for National Culture, formerly Art Center, became so paramount that I couldn't have that much time to go to GBC to rehearse. More so when GBC was proving so adamant to looking critically at our profession as profession and pay as professional fees. So I thought that maybe I could employ my skills and my resources and my energies in other areas and spread the message a lot more. So I came out of Obra, and I didn't end up there. I formed my own group, Kuzi Kuzi Theatre Company. I helped, people in the field at that time to co-found the Ghana Union of Theatre Societies. I now have a cultural troupe that toured America last year. I also have a concert party. And I believe it's part of the experience and the confidence and the recognition I gained from my years with Obra that served as a foundation, as a stepping stone into what I am today.
Apart from Ghanaian, Africa, what do you call it? Camp drama on GT. I know you featured in so many Ghanaian films. Could you mention some of these films?
A lot. I featured in about 50 films, so maybe just a couple of them. My very first film was Kukratu with the Road to Accra. After that, I've been in so many other films. I've done maybe about 10, 15 NAFTI films. I've been in about 8 celluloid films. Deadly Voyage is one of them. Kofi and Koko, Dying of the Light, which I played the Prince Johnson, the Liberian War, Issue the Trickster, and some others. And I want to talk about video films too. I've made Sika Soon, Dying of the Light, I Surrender, Indecent Favor, Jennifer, many. I cannot mention all of them. But then it gives me very great pleasure to have passed through this life, because it has really changed my way of thinking about people, about my community, about human beings in general. It has also opened my eyes to so many potentialities that we have in our system that we have ignored over the years.
Of all these films, which one is your favorite?
I cannot choose any particular film as my favorite, because every film is a peculiar story, and every peculiar story has its own emotional values, has its own characterization, has various aesthetic and other elements that make it that unique. So I should like to say that I have enjoyed every film that I've been in, except that some stories are a lot more interesting than others. But if we could break away from ordinary person-to-person stories and talk about rather very encompassing ideas, like what I did in The Tiger of Mwamba, that's Police Officer 2. It's a story that talks to African youth, African governments, and it has a very broad basis of influencing people. And that is the essence of film. We should not actually look at film in the context of only person-to-person relationship. That should only come as a byproduct of the story that you are telling. You watch most of the James Bond films. There are many times that you see James Bond having a very nice affair with the ladies involved in the film, but that is just a byproduct of the main storyline. He's chasing some information or document from KGB headquarters, or he's doing something that is a lot more paramount than the ordinary person-to-person relationship. So I believe if we could look at stories for our films in that perspective, we'll be making better headway, we'll be talking to a larger people, and we'll be creating a better understanding among our peoples.
So how do you feel when you see yourself on screen, especially playing a part that is what should I say, being a wretched person or wicked person or that kind of thing?
Yeah, that is the mistake many people make. You know, I have many a time come across people who see me and they say, oh, I could up your map out. But they forget that what they watch on the screen is not me. I'm only telling a story. I'm only a vehicle. I'm only imitating, or so to speak, impersonating somebody. So maybe because I do it so well, they begin to equate me to what they see on the screen. But I'm one person who very hardly come close to women at my own free will. Even though I lived in a family house of so many women, I like women. I like women in a sense that is very different from what people think I am. I like women because women are very good managers, women are very good creators, women are very fantastic teachers, And there are people who are always creating. You realize that you leave two women in a room for 10 hours. You go and come and meet them talking about whatever subject you cannot share, but they never sit quiet. But if you leave two men there, they will talk for 30 minutes and disperse. You know. So that is how maybe I acquired my skills for acting, because I lived in a compound house of about 30 women of all age groups and all classes. And that is how or why I have come to like women, because they have taught me. For any man on this earth who does not respect a woman in that sense, I don't think that he's a real man. I like women not because of any, you know, flimsy idea or anything that people may think a man who's near a woman. What people have had about acting, except that in totality, in America, they view acting as a very, very important profession, and so they pay them professional fees for acting, and that is why we have so many rich actors in America. But in that same America, you will get actors that are very, very poor, because one, of discrimination, and two, because of certain designs by some studios to make stars of certain select actors. But then, looking at it in totality, Africa, we have not as yet come to accept acting as a profession, as something that somebody would do to really earn his living out of. But then, America has taken a lead in that direction, and I believe it's an area we could learn so much from. And I believe if our government would begin to see that as an aspect of our lives, that should be looked at critically, because that is the most powerful medium to change a person's way of thinking. That is what America has done to all of us. That is why every youth gets up and wants to go to America, because of what he's seen in films. If we can change that mentality, we should start telling our own stories. It is said that he who tells the story defines the culture. If we allow America to tell the story, America will define the culture. And when they define the culture, they will continue to colonize us. And that is why some of us are so cross with people in authority who do not see the essence of bringing up the film industry and using it to tell our stories, to change the way our people think, come to understand ourselves better, and know what harm is being done to us from outside.
So how do you see Ghanaian young industry? Do they have a future?
They do have a future. If it is not there, we will force it to be there, because it is something that we cannot lose sight of. Maybe as we keep talking about the last revolution, we are entering a new millennium, and I believe that is one area of our human lives that we'll be hammering on in the next millennium to undo all the damage that Western media operations have done on us. We have been conscientized to think that everything from Africa is not good. We have to deconscientize that mentality to think that Africa is good. Whatever is here is good. If you are born an African, you are not born with any curse. You are a human being equally strong, equally intelligent. You have all the potentialities of any human being, and we have proved it before. We built the pyramids. The first human operation was done in Mali. So why can't we do it now? They came for all that information from here. Civilization started at the banks of the River Nile. What happened? I'm sure it will go around. Everything that goes around comes around. Civilization will end up here in Africa.
Okay, talking about Deadly Voice, how did you get involved in that film?
Well, HBO and Viva Films from UK came down, and they wanted to do this story about stowaways from West Africa who were on a Russian ship, MC Rubik or something, where 7 out of 8 stowaways got killed, and the survivor was a Ghanaian, and somebody decided to put a story together to make a film out. They came here to audition, and I went through the auditioning, and I was taken as one of the actors. I played one of the stowaways. Yes.
Okay, coming back to your life, how do you combine your family and your profession?
That has been a very, very hectic schedule for me. In fact, I used to crack a joke among my friends that I will propose to the other nations that once we have gone metric, they should change the 24 hours to 30 hours so that we could have a lot more time to deal with our work. My schedule is so tight that maybe I sleep about 4 or 5 hours every day, because I go to work in the morning, through rehearsals, I close from work, I come to a lot more rehearsals, I go home, I need to write or learn scripts, and do so many other things, sleep way into dawn, and then wake up the next morning and it's the same old story. At times I go on set one day and then end up the next day. And it's a hectic something, but for me, that's the nature of my work and I enjoy doing it.
So have your wife talking about being with women on screen?
Yes, you know, jealousy is one of the elements, emotional elements of women. Not only women, men too. But initially she was worried about how I relate to the women on the screen. But after explaining to her that I'm only doing my work, I'm only impersonating somebody, it's not me. If anything develops thereafter, then you could tackle me for it. But I make sure that it ends right there on set. And because of that, she's now come to understand that, yes, if I'm at work, I'm a professional and I'm doing my professional job, just as she also do, you know, that's her professional job. So she has stopped worrying about the roles I play. That does not also mean that I take every role. There are some roles I ignore, I just refuse to. Because there are some roles that do not speak well of the African, do not speak well of our mentality, our intelligence, and I have repudiated such scripts.
So, talking about Ghanaian film industry, what support do you need from the government?
A lot, a lot. The government has to critically look at the industry, put some legislation in place, let a lot more of the business or corporate community see the industry as a very viable industry. It is the third largest foreign exchange earner for America of all countries. So it is an industry that we can make money from. The money aside, that is one industry that can change the way our people think. And if we do not take care, with the onset of the new technology of the computer, the internet, and the television medium, satellite transmission, that time is coming. When you buy a television set, and to be like radio, you can tune to any station. When we get there, we would have lost the battle. This is the time we should set out and fight and make sure that we stop all this importation and acculturation from outside.
Okay, have you been able to change someone's life through acting?
A lot, a lot. There was a man who was, you know, Africa is more of a polygamous society. There was a production I did on television, and the man had 2 wives. I played a man who had 2 wives and kept lying between them. At the end of the day, 2 women joined forces and beat me up. And the man learned his lesson from that time. That very day, he stopped one of his wives.
Okay.
Yes.
It's nice talking to you. What message do you have for your fans, everybody?
That is the message. The message is that you are an African. Think African. Live African. Believe yourself as a potential human being who can reach any height. And I believe when you start thinking that way, the sky is the limit. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking on Crystal Television.
It's been nice talking to you. I know everything will be all right. Everything will be well.
You've been watching television, right? Television is a very powerful medium. Keep watching Crystal Television and it will change your life.